What up, gents? It's Label Blackie Games, another video. Check it out, man. I'm still thinking about creating that content I made before, where I asked girls to rate me. I know you guys enjoyed that, I'm not sure if you guys enjoyed the part where I was being clowned on by that girl more than the part where there was a 7 out of 10 calling me cute. Because I was just trying to prove the point that ascension is possible, and it's actually possible to get like a girl who's like a 7 out of 10 as a normie. But essentially, I took it down because I had second thoughts. But I want to talk about something today. I want to talk about Westernised Goals, okay? Oh, and I might create content where I'm picking up goals, so be on the lookout for that. But I want to talk about like Westernized goals and why I tend to like Westernized goals, okay? A lot of people hear me talk about white goals, okay, a lot, and I kind of started making that content because a lot of people think that somehow I'm marginalizing black goals and I don't like black goals and this and that, and it kind of like speaks on self-hate a bit. It's not that, bro. I like all goals, okay? Especially black goals, okay? I like light-skinned goals as well. The thing is, here's the thing, okay? I live in South Africa, okay? And South Africa, you have to understand, is a place where there's a lot of tribal people, okay? And if you're living in the US, okay, you have no excuse as a black guy to not want black girls, because all girls there are westernized, okay? They all can speak English. All of them have the culture. All of them like are in the westernized culture. What do I mean? Obviously, the West is USA, okay? They are like the cream of the top of the West, okay? They are leading the West essentially, okay? However, in my country, most girls who are westernized, okay, are white girls. And the thing is, they are white, they speak English, they also, the culture that they embody is of westernization, okay? That's why a lot of them, the content they listen to, the content they watch, the music they listen to, it's quite different from what, like, a black girl, okay? In South Africa, things are very different, okay? Like when you speak, when a black girl doesn't speak the same language as a white girl, okay? That's the difference in South Africa. A white girl speaks English, a black girl speaks a tribal language. And what you might be wondering, like, why is that, okay? The thing is, before colonization happened, okay, like in Africa, there were tribes, and these tribes all spoke different languages. You might find, like, in a space of South Africa, which is a very small country, there'll be like 11 tribes, okay, all speaking different languages. But in South Africa, it was like less than that. I think it was like 7 tribes, okay? But now you have different girls literally speaking a tribal language, okay? And I'm someone who I want to travel the world, bro. I'm a globalist, okay? And that's how I think. And with that thought, if I'm going to have a girlfriend, she's going to influence me. And the influence that I want to have is a westernization kind of influence. And that kind of westernization influence is only embodied within white girls mostly, okay? Now, you might be wondering, are there some girls who are black or westernized? Yes, okay? And you might be wondering, like, how? So what happens in South Africa, right? Black people, right, are like, they speak a home language that's tribal, and then they go to school with white kids, and the white kids actually westernize them, okay? Because when you go to these schools, they want you to speak English, okay? They want you to actually embody a culture that's of British. You understand what I'm trying to say? And a lot of people nowadays, like a lot of like left-wing parties nowadays talk about being colonized. A lot of people call me colonized because, I tend to, like, again, I prefer white girls in my country. If I was in the US, if I was in the UK, then that would be something different, okay? However, like, a lot of people think that I'm colonized, but it's so funny that the same people who think that I'm colonized, right, they'll go to school and get educated, and then the education they receive is a colonized education. Like, the education they receive is from Britain. The language they have to speak to get a degree, a master's or whatever, is English, essentially. So they're also colonized, but they just don't understand where I'm coming from. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? And that's why I tend to tend to prefer white girls in my country. Again, if I was in the US, I'm gonna say it again, in the UK things would be different. You might be wondering, like, why is it that, like, people in this country don't want to be more Western? Essentially because a lot of people identify themselves via, like, their traditions, their history, their lineage. And if you kind of like embark on a different path, a lot of people look at you weirdly. They think that you've lost your roots. You know what I'm saying? If you look at the black Americans, okay, because they were very westernized, okay, hence why I'm saying they are not rooted in Africa. Black Americans are not African Americans. They're just black. Okay, they are not. They don't embody African culture or traditions or customs. They don't even like speak an African language. By default, then you're not African. Being African means that you literally embody the culture of being an African individual. You know what I'm saying? That means you look at the world from an African worldview. Okay, Black Americans do not look at the world from an African worldview. Okay, hence why I say if I was in the US, I would be different. Okay. And in South Africa, a lot of people, like, they hold on to their customs, they hold on to their traditions and cultures. I myself, I've seen how that can hold you back, because it limits you in your worldview. Because in your worldview, right, if you want to be a Western individual, you have to speak Western language and you have to embody the culture. So if you're tied into your roots, that's going to limit you. It's going to hold you back, because you're going to be thinking about your roots. You're also like, you will have like a, what can I call, a conflict of interest. Okay, because one way you're speaking like your tribal language, one way you're speaking English, and that's what happens in South Africa. So what happens in South Africa, you have like a hybrid, right? You have a hybrid of Westernization. It's like South Africa is a hybrid nation, where basically you have like black girls who they can, like, English is their second language, okay? However, their home language is like a tribal language. And the thing about me is that I don't want to be like around that kind of influence. That's just me, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I feel uncomfortable talking about this, because a lot of people in my country don't like it, bro. It's like looked down upon if you don't follow your customs, your traditions, your culture. It's almost like you're leaving your roots, as I said, okay? So that's why I tend to prefer white goals, you know, and westernized goals. You know what I'm saying? But that's the video of today. I just wanted to explain that, you know, ethnic goals in my country. And the thing is, when you were more Western, like the people who make the most amount of money in my country are the most Western people. The British, right? They're the most Western individuals. They make the most amount of money. If you look at the biggest economy in the world, one of the biggest economies in the world, right? The US. It's a westernized economy. Literally, dude, if you would take Texas, okay, and you take the GDP of Texas, and you take all of Africa, excluding South Africa, that's equal. The GDP of Texas is equal to Africa, excluding South Africa. That's how small the African worldview is. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? That's just why I tend to be more Western, because I want to make more money, also with connections as well, right? Like being able to speak English properly, it opens up more doors for you. And most people who run businesses in this country are white, you know, and hence why, again, you know, I tend to like more Western goals. And no matter how much I explain, people are still going to hate on me. I understand, it's fine. I've accepted it. You know, I'm putting myself in the fire by making this type of content. But essentially, that's why, you know, I tend to like Western goals. Anyways, peace, live black, and I'm out.